Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balava Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jayo Prabhupada. Nitai Gora Hariva, 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 Gora Hariva. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asto Tarasata Shishimat. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Asto Tarasata Shishimat. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shai Mukund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Haridam Sankirtan Jagi Ki Jai Brihat Panavi Ki Jai Naperville ISKCON Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru Ngaranga Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai. Is there a nectar of instruction here by any chance? You had a whole bunch in your closet at home. Is it Upadesha? Do we have one? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, entitled Divinity and Divine Service, which is a wonderfully beautiful chapter, just packed full of wonderful transcendental instructions. And we're reading text 3, 1, 2, 3. For those of us who memories aren't so good, Kali Yuga, 1, 2, 3. That's pretty easy, huh? First of all, I'll just mention it's nice to be back here in Naperville, enjoying a beautiful Chicago spring day. Look outside, probably here too, right? You can see the rain coming down. I was in Chicago downtown for a conference for a few days, and it was maybe here too. It was sleeting and snowing. But this is April. It's just Krishna reminded us. It's true. It is Kali Yuga, right? If we had any doubt which yuga this is definitely not the golden age we're living in. You know, I stopped in one Middle Eastern country on the way back. With Mimi and I were coming back from India, and a pretty barren place. And they were telling us that, Gita Krishna says, if you offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water, I will accept it. And they were saying we live in such a inauspicious place. There's no leaves, there's no fruits, there's no flowers, and there's no water. But still there's devotees there. And a very nice community. And they're very active. We were there for Gaur Purnima, about 800 people. And they had a drama about Lord Chaitanya's Leela. And next day we showed the movie Joy of Devotion to the community. It was very inspiring. But so even if it snows in April, or if you live in a place where there's no flowers, in Chicago, the place is full of flowers in another 2 weeks, or even if you're in a place like that, still the bhakti can be there. So no impediments. So this is a long text. I don't know if there's actually even a meter for this. If there is, I don't know it. So we'll just go through the word for words, and then, I'll say it. We'll go through the whole thing, and then we'll just do the best we can with the meter. Yasvanubhavam Mikala Shuti Saram Mekam. Great, very good. Adhyatma Deepam Atitir Shatam Tamodtam. Samsarinam Karuna Yaha Purana Guyam. Tam Vyasa Sunum Upayami Gurum Muninam. Maybe this fits, let's try it. Yasvanubhava Makili Shuti Saramekam. Adhyatma Deepa Matitir Shatam Tamonham. Samsarinam Karunayaha Purana Guyam. Tam Vyasa Sunamupayami Gurum Mininam. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam Adhyatmadipam atitir shatamotamondham Samsarinam karunayaha purana guyam Tam vyasa sunumupayami gurum muninam Ladies? Let's go right to the translation because it's a long purport. Because 8 o'clock darshan. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic literature, after having personally assimilated it by experience. So, I say, you say. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him, Sukha, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In this prayer, Srila Sutta Goswami practically summarizes the complete introduction of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the natural supplementary commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Vedanta Sutras, or the Brahma Sutras, were compiled by Vyasadeva with a view to presenting just the cream of Vedic knowledge. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on this cream. What's commentary mean? What are Prabhupada's purpose? They're commenting, right? So what's the purpose of the commentary? Yeah, give an explanation, make it digestible, understandable by the readers. So just like we read this text and then there's a page in that commentary to help us understand it. So Prabhupada's making the point that the Bhagavatam is to help us understand what's the essence of the cream of the Bhagavatam. So the cream of the Vedas. So Vedanta Sutra is there as a summary, and then Bhagavatam is the commentary. It's to help us, it's the explanation for us to understand what's the essence of the Vedic knowledge. Just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men. I think I missed one line. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master on the Vedanta Sutra, and consequently he also personally realized the commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. And just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nescience, he recited for the first time this confidential knowledge. There's no point in arguing that a materialistic man can be happy. No materialistic creature, be he the great Brahma or an insignificant ant, can be happy. Everyone tries to make a permanent plan for happiness, but everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. Therefore, the materialistic world is called the darkest region of God's creation. Yet, the unhappy materialist can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. Unfortunately, they are so foolish that they do not want to escape. Therefore, they are compared to the camel who relishes thorny twigs because he likes the taste of the twigs mixed with blood. He does not realize that it is his own blood, and that his tongue is being cut by the thorns. Similarly, to the materialist, his own blood is as sweet as honey. And although he is always harassed by his own material creations, he does not wish to escape. It's interesting. He is harassed by his own material creations. So people make so many things to try to improve the quality of life, and he just comes back and harasses them even more. Out of hundreds of, such materialists are called karmis. Out of hundreds of thousands of karmis, only a few may feel tired of material engagement and desire to get out of the labyrinth. Such intelligent persons are called jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed to such jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed to such jnanis. The Srila Vyasadeva, being the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, could foresee the misuse of the Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men. And therefore he personally supplemented the Vedanta Sutra with the Bhagavad Purana. It is clearly said that this Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Brahma Sutras. Srila Vyasadeva also instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was already at the liberated stage of transcendence. Srila Sukadeva realized it personally and then explained it. By the mercy of Srila Sukadeva, the Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra, is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of material existence. Read that one again. By the mercy of Srila Sukadeva, the Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of material existence. Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Sripad Shankaracharya intentionally did not touch it because he knew that the natural commentary would be difficult for him to surpass. He wrote his Shariraka Vyasa, and his so-called followers deprecated the Bhagavatam as some, quote, new, end quote, presentation. One should not be misled by such propaganda directed against the Bhagavatam by the Mayavada school. From this introductory shloka, the beginning student should know that Srimad Bhagavatam is the only transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramahamsas and completely freed from the material disease called malice. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead, despite Sripad Shankaracharya's admission that Narayan, the personality of Godhead, is above the material creation. The envious Mayavadi cannot have access to the Bhagavatam. For those who are really anxious to get out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam, because it is uttered by the liberated Srila Shukadeva Goswami. It is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Gyanatanyam Vishna Chakshu Umritam Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Bhishtam Stapitam Namabuddhavo Swayam Rupa Kadama Vandagata Swatidantam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. So as I mentioned, it's nice to be back in Naperville. This is one of the wonderful temples I get to visit where you especially see progress every time you come. So last time there was a half manifested parking lot. Now it's fully blossomed. The lotus flower of the parking lot is blossomed. Next time the landscaping of the parking lot will be manifest. Soon the beautiful temple will be manifest. Krishna just wants to purify us a little bit before he allows it to manifest. It's interesting too, I was someplace the other day, someone was giving a class describing how, the image of the lotus flower. Anybody, you've seen lotus flowers like in nature? I was in Guyana once, and because they practically built the country, the Dutch came in and built walls and they pumped out the sea, so where most of the people live is what used to be just ocean. So there's like ditches everywhere, and the ditches are full of water that's not very clean looking water. It's kind of mushy looking water. But the lotuses, I didn't realize this, they specifically grow out of very dirty places, and they're such a beautiful flower, and they simultaneously purify that water. So it's such a wonderful image. So in a similar way here, even in a sense, Chicago's a nice city, all of that, but in the material world, in modern days, it's not a very nice place. It's a dirty place. It's so many people. Didn't they have like lots and lots of murders last year? It was a big thing, all the murders in Chicago. So sometimes suburbs are a little less difficult than the city, but old age, death, disease, birth, those things are always there. So out of some very difficult situations, like the lotus flower, beautiful temples can manifest. So we're very fortunate for that. So this is a very wonderful purport. And Prabhupada mentions him a few times that actually, because he didn't know how much time he had. So in the first two cantos, particularly emphasizes he squeezed everything in. So as you read this purport, and I think it's nice to meditate, this is not, as we've seen Prabhupada recording on his recorder, and then sending the tapes to disciples who are typing and editing and all of that. This is Prabhupada typing. This is Prabhupada. Maybe at some point he might have been handwriting, I'm not sure. But this is Prabhupada alone in Vrindavan, reciting. He's just begun. This is just the second chapter. And, we can I was just in Vrindavan, and you can go and see Prabhupada's rooms, and there's a murti of Prabhupada there, and you can see where his kitchen was, where he was meditating on the six Goswamis, and samadhi's just outside. Unfortunately, they're building like a big roof over it now. It's not the beautiful outdoor courtyard that it once was. But anyway, his rooms are still there. And, we can just imagine Prabhupada being there and beginning his presentation in the Bhagavatam, and he's got this plan. His Guru Maharaj told him he should preach in English. He should eventually has this idea, he wants to go to the West. So he's there alone, he has no support. Of course he's got Krishna, so he knows he has full support. But externally he has no support. He's a sannyasi. He has some connection with the Gaudiya Math, but no one in the Gaudiya Math is supporting his efforts. He's alone. And he's writing this commentary with the hope, with the faith, that's going to make a difference in the world. But at this point, he's one elderly sadhu in a little room. Like, who's been to his rooms in Anuttama? Pretty small, right? Not much there. You wouldn't think like, maybe you go downtown and there's a big bank, right? And on the 55th floor, that's where the board of directors are. And they make a decision, yes, let's invest $3.2 billion over here, right? They've got some resources, they've got some assets. It's a power place. You can just feel it's a power place. George was telling me last night that Deva? Deva. He was telling me, like, with his business, he goes and he talks to banks when he's developing and investing and, expand a hotel or fix a hotel. And he said, I have to go to the small banks. He said, like, you go to Chase Bank or some of these big ones, they want to do $500 million deals or something like that. So they have, seem to have that much power and influence. When we think about how much influence Prabhupada is, how old was he when he was writing this? This was, 9 years before he came, right? So he was approximately 60, right? Again, alone, no institutional support. They were in these little tiny rooms in Vrindavan. People in Vrindavan respected him, but he was not so well known by any means practically. He's beginning to write different people and asking support. I'm not sure exactly when he was reaching out to a lot of these important people, but he didn't have any, there was nothing there. There was no big, Chase Bank, 32nd floor, make a decision and 1,000 employees all fall in line, It wasn't like, okay, here's the mission statement, everybody get with it. But, so it's quite amazing to think from that. Even here we're sitting, even it's a Sunday morning, it's April, it's raining, it's cold outside. But here there's 30 or so of us. In the afternoon there'll be 100 or so of us, and there's a temple manifesting soon. And where's that? And you go down the road, there's another temple. You go somewhere else, there's another temple. And you go some places, and there's thousands of devotees. And there's devotees all over the world today that are distributing Prabhupada's books and worshiping the deities, and people are going home and they've got altars set up in their home and they're studying the Shastra, all coming from this one humble but pure Vaishnava who is sitting reciting these kirtans, just out of that. So it's quite amazing, and when we makes me think about that is when I read this purport, it's jam-packed. You can feel the intensity of Prabhupada's words. You can feel his intensity. He has, like Sutta Goswami and Sukadeva Goswami, he's also fully realized the text. He understands the deepest meaning of the text. He understands the power of the text. And although Krishna's put him in what seems to be, what is externally, very limiting situations, he's fully focused knowing that these words and this sound vibration can change the world. So therefore you feel again this intensity, the power of Prabhupada's purports. And in this one purport, there's basically 3 or 4 elements here. He begins by glorifying, he glorifies the Bhagavatam in his first paragraph. Beautiful glorification of Bhagavatam. And then in the second paragraph, he just changes gears. He's talking about the cream of Vedic knowledge and how wonderful it is. And then he changes gears, as they say, and just comes out with this powerful statement. There's no point in arguing that a materialistic man can be happy. He just, like, boom. He just, like they say, tells it like it is. Right? And then he goes on, and in the last paragraph, he changes gears again. And he critiques impersonalist philosophy, Mayavad philosophy, and the minimization of the Bhagavatam. So he's glorifying the Bhagavatam. He's explaining, he's shedding light on, he's unpacking, he's helping the readers understand how important this literature is and how great are the personalities who have compiled it and the benefit it can have upon us. And then he, again, goes back and describes materialistic people. And again, this is page 91. It's not that far into the Bhagavatam. But he's using this graphic analogy that's explained elsewhere about the camel who's chewing on the twigs and biting into thorns. And from the thorns, excuse me, from the thorns, somehow the taste of the thorns, this is something maybe some of you remember from past lives, but otherwise it's just kind of telling us. I don't have any, I've never read about what the camels taste, but there's explaining, by the thorns mixing with their blood, it tastes good. You know, we can see that sometimes people that are materialistic people, sometimes they're working so hard and they're just struggling. But they're thinking that it's great, it's a good thing. So Prabhu gives this example, just like the camel. So it's just such a strong critique. And then he goes into this description about Mayavad philosophy. So these are kind of three primary messages for us. The first being for us to understand how fortunate we are to hear from the Bhagavatam, to study the Bhagavatam, and how beneficial it is for us, in that it purifies us. It purifies us. It purifies us. It deepens our faith in Krishna, because by hearing about Krishna and his incarnations and his merciful interactions with the devotees, it increases our faith, and it helps us actually realize and see Krishna in the world around us by hearing. Just like if you have a teacher of a mundane subject, say of an art teacher, and you're trying to learn how to do a painting, and the teacher shows you, well, actually, you see how the light's working like this, and then you can, by doing this technique, you can do the same thing in your work. Or, you know, an auto mechanic, he'll say, do you hear that to a student? Do you hear that sound? Click, 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 click. And to us, it's just click, 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 click. But for him, it means X, Y, and Z. So he teaches the student how to see and how to hear in such a way to have higher knowledge. So in the same way that the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita, all the teachings of the acharyas and Krishna's own teaching, it's helping us to learn to see differently. Just like Prabhupada mentions here at the end, this expression is that this is the transcendental torchlight. The Bhagavatam is the transcendental torchlight by which one can perfectly see the transcendental absolute truth. So right now we know that analogy is used often about how we're in darkness and the conditioned soul doesn't see things properly. So by hearing the Bhagavatam, we actually learn to start seeing things properly. And we learn to gradually see that everything is connected to Krishna. Everything's coming from Krishna. Everything's the energy of Krishna. In one sense, everything is Krishna, then it's not different. Although we know we don't misinterpret that as the Mayavadis do and think there's no personality behind it. But we gradually begin to see things like that. Prabhupada gives the example of a mother or a parent who, out of their affection for their child, sees anything in connection with that child. They see a shoe. You know, you and I walk into somebody else's house and we see, oh, their child left their dirty shoe in the middle of the hallway. I just see a dirty little shoe. And I think, wow, that's a rather dirty little shoe. But the mother sees that connection to the son. So that invokes in her a feeling of love, a feeling of devotion. Same shoe, isn't it? So in a similar way, as you know, the description is being given here for us to understand that we gradually, we have to practice this,
Just like Arjuna asked Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, how am I supposed to see you? How should I meditate upon you? How should I understand your presence in the world? And there's 2 or 3 places he goes in the Gita. He says, I'm the light of the sun, I'm the light of the moon, the ocean represents me, Garuda represents me, etc. So many different analogies in there. That's all to help us see and meditate like that. And so when we read the Bhagavatam, it purifies us. We hear about how Krishna is interacting with his devotees, so it intensifies, deepens our own faith. Because we can see Krishna, he's leading his devotees in so many ways. And I mean, the Bhagavatam is just this amazing histories. And so some places there's chapters. One story goes on for chapters and chapters. And there's other places, just a few verses that practically you could write chapters on. Maybe somebody did, some other planet. There's a longer version of the Bhagavatam that expands that. But all these different histories are there. And like any good drama, there's always some, opening scene, and then there's some conflict, and then there's some resolution of it, isn't it? So in the same way, the Bhagavatam's like that. There's some opening setting. There was a nice sage living in the forest, and the next thing a man-eating demon shows up, and then Krishna rescues him somehow or other. Or Krishna's devotee rescues him. Or there's a great king who's kind of, everything is wonderful in his life, but he has no son. And then he goes through all kinds of austerities and prayers. He gets benedicted by a sage who says, I'm going to give you a son who will bring you great happiness and great pain. And the king in his blindness thinks, he only hears, really, he will bring great joy. The suffering part of, I don't know what he meant by that. Let's just leave that aside, right? But then the story unfolds, and then I've seen Bhakti Mark Swami do his Chitta-Ketu play in Mayapur. The story unwinds, and it's great suffering. It's great suffering. But that's not the end of the story. Then Narada Muni comes back, and then he's benedicted in the midst of all this difficulty. So it's here he is, and then things fall apart, and then redemption, salvation, reconnection with Krishna. So our lives are like that too. Things are going along, and sometimes something goes wrong. Or for Vaishnavas even, as our lives are going along, and sometimes things go right. Or at least, some quote-unquote happiness comes, some success comes, right? You're going along and you lose a bunch of money, then you go along and you get a lot of money. Or you go along and you get a new house, or you get a new house, and then you go along and the hot water heater, breaks all over the basement. Or like these pictures they have around town. What is it? They show this picture of a person in great anxiety about, something about water leaking in the basement or something, right? Those billboards, something like that. So, you have your nice house. Oh, I'm so happy. And the next thing you find out there's mold in the house, right? And then, your child gets accepted to a really exclusive school, right? And then you learn, no, you didn't qualify for the tuition breaks, discounts, right? There's no scholarship, right? So it's just like that. It's like sometimes you see like a ping pong table, right? People playing ping pongs like back and forth, and so we're like that little ball, and like material energy. Here's a nice soft hit from the mode of goodness. Oh, that felt good. And then wham, you get slammed by the mode of passion and ignorance. Right? Sukha and dukkha, it's there. We all experience this. And sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's not so hard. I went to this conference this weekend, and there was African-American pastor from Chicago who was born in one of the really difficult, he used the word neglected areas of Chicago. He was the luncheon speaker, the keynote speaker for the afternoon session. And he was telling his own story, and it's a long story. He was inspired to move back into his original neighborhood, and as a teacher. And so a couple of the main points that he made, he said he realized when he went back, he actually wasn't there to teach other people. And he actually wasn't there to, like the Christian terminology, save other people. He wasn't there to missionize other people. He was actually meant to live there. And by living there, have an effect. And learn by living there. And he was describing some of these people whose lives are really difficult. He was talking about the neighborhood he was, there's a lot of gun violence and things like that. But how, in the midst of that, he realized there was some very special and wonderful people. He described how there was one old lady living in the neighborhood. Oh, it's snowing now. I'll just see. There it is. Slam from whatever mode that is. I don't know. Snow. I don't know. It's cold, probably mode of ignorance somehow. I don't know. But then again, you don't get enough snow. There's no water in the summer, right? So we should understand. I mean, by nature's natural progress, this is a blessing. It's more of a blessing in February than April. It's some kind of blessing. So he was just describing his own realization that he was basically saying in our terminology, don't think that we go there and Krishna's not already there. There's a problem in the world. I become a little faithful in my Vaishnava practice, or I become a little faithful in my Muslim practice, a little faithful in my Christian practice, or my Baha'i practice, and suddenly I think everybody has to do what I do. Like, whatever. I love to read Bhagavatam. You should love to read Bhagavatam. I love to worship the deities. You have to love to worship the deities. I mean, frankly, I heard a story when I was in India. Some good friends of mine have family in Assam. And they were saying that in that particular community, in the Kartik season, devotees were thinking, well, we should do something special for Kartik. And so you're going to, fast for 1 day, so I'm going to fast for 2 days, and you're going to fast for 3 days. And so in that particular community, somehow, I think during the last 5 days of Kartik, the local people decided, okay, we should only drink cow urine for 5 days. And that's like if you really are devoted. And if you really want to show Krishna you love him, and if you really renounced, only cow urine. To the point it's like, you're drinking water, Prabhu. You're not, we're drinking cow urine. And this lady devotee was telling me that her sister's a devotee. And her sister was completely, turned off by that. She's an educated professional lady, and okay, you want to do that, that's fine. Do whatever you want. That's fine. However you want to express your bhakti, it's certainly not against the principles. There's probably a lot of health benefits from drinking cow urine and fasting. But for people to start thinking that's what you need to do to be a devotee, or if you to be a good devotee, to be a serious devotee. So, those dangers are there. We can get a little carried away. So, we have to be very careful that the way that I'm inspired to be a devotee, I can share my enthusiasm, I can share my joy, I can share my realizations, but I should also share my encouragement for others to express their bhakti in the way that Krishna inspires them. I'll share a little personal story. It's amazing. It took me 40-some years to figure this out. But it just came upon me the other day, because sometimes when you give class, you get like, okay, now I'm in the mood to speed it up. I think we should speed up the kirtan. Or let's do it kind of slow. I'm in a slower meditative mood today. But you know who it really depends on, what happens with the kirtan? Him. Right? Now he played very nicely. He's a wonderful drummer. I'm sure he's going to get better and better as years go by. But if I'm sitting here thinking, okay, now I'm going to speed it up with a really good beat, that may not be the arrangement Krishna's made this morning. So it kind of suddenly dawned on me, okay, forget how I want to express my kirtan this morning. What's Krishna arranged here? What's best for that drummer? So it's a nice young man who can play like a few beats wonderfully in a nice steady fashion. That's what's going to dictate how I should chant this morning. And like last night in the Sunday feast in Chicago, Rogers Park, Chicago Temple, Kishore. And there was one of those young guys that was really good at the drum. And it was like, oh, now we can, rock it, as they say. Because I knew he was really good. And it's funny, it's amazing, I confess it. I don't think I ever thought like this before. I just suddenly realized, well, yeah, so Krishna's showing me something here. I'm not in charge. I'm not in control. It's like, you go and you meet a donor, right? You can't walk in the door and think, I think they should give $10,000 or $50,000. Of course, it's a good fundraiser. In the back of your mind, you have to think what their potential is. But we have to, whatever, Prabhupada's in Vrindavan by himself in a stone room, in a place that can get really cold and really hot with no institutional support. No guarantee, frankly, no guarantee anybody's going to read what he's writing. It's not like he's got a publisher like that. Later, yes, he starts, gets his first few volumes done. But there's no guarantee. But he's living in the moment. That was the message of this minister, this pastor downtown. He's in a very difficult area, but he's trying to live his bhakti in that place. And he talked about, things they're doing with the neighbors. So wherever we are, we should try to live our bhakti, our devotion to Krishna. And of course, we take shelter, we take help, we take guidance of advanced devotees and our spiritual masters, and certainly the Shastra and all of that, to help us how we should apply ourselves. But we should meditate on Prabhupada, who's got such an intense enthusiasm. There's no time, but if you have time later, read the Nectar of Instruction talks about the importance of utsaha, enthusiasm in our service. So we should, as this verse is describing, try to see the opportunities that are there. It's not just a snowy day. It's a Sunday morning, and I'm at the temple hearing with devotees about Krishna. I don't know how many more Sunday mornings I'm going to have at the temple hearing about Krishna, but I've got today, and I can try to go as deep as I can and try to take it into my heart as best I can and try to understand and apply it as best I can. Because this is the time he's given. This is the message of this ministry. He said, you have to live it. He said, don't go there. He said, you don't go to a place because you're going to change it. You go there to live it. You live in it. And for us, it means living a Krishna conscious life as much as we can. And at every moment, not thinking like, okay, now I'm going out on book distribution. This is important. Well, it's also important the way we greet each other while we're loading the car with the books to go on book distribution. And I remember having an experience years ago with the book distributor. Wonderful devotee, and I even commented to him, and I think he said, wow, I appreciate that. We happened to be in an airplane, and he was being really nasty to the airline flight attendant. Give me this, he wasn't snapping his fingers, it was almost like that. And I kind of mentioned it. I said, Prabhu, you're like a fantastic preacher and your outreach to so many people. You're sitting here with a dhoti and tilak, and you're being a little harsh with this flight attendant. You think, is that bringing her to Krishna? You spend your life dedicated to giving people the chance to come to Krishna, but you're also talking to this woman now. Is this bringing her closer to Krishna or pushing her further away? So that's the message here of the Bhagavatam. We feel this intensity of Prabhupada to share this message of Krishna. So we also should want to take up that enthusiasm and this vision of seeing Krishna. We want to see how Krishna is present in this world. We want to see Krishna's presence. We want to have this conviction that materialistic life is not such a good thing. It can't make us happy. And then this third point, of course, understanding that behind everything, there's a person. There's a personality. And as we gradually deepen our faith and realization of that, then life with all of its ups and downs, it becomes actually a wonderful adventure. Because it's a question of what's Krishna got for me today? What's he going to teach me today? How's he going to lead me today? How's he going to guide me today? How's he going to challenge me today? How's he going to put me through maybe a few difficulties that are ultimately good for me today? Wow, this is exciting. And the Acharyas, they give that example. They say that it's quite interesting to use this example, but they give it that when one becomes a devotee, as our devotion increases, it's just like a young boy and a young girl spontaneously attracted to each other. So the same way our bhakti becomes spontaneous like that. So gradually, as we get purified. So this clock is a little fast. There's about 5 minutes left, I think. So any questions or comments anybody might have? And thank you for your nice drawing. If you hadn't come, we would have been in big trouble. We can also sit in silence for 5 minutes too. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for that.
Sounds like gunfire. It's a good reminder. Any moment we can go. We better be careful. Use our time right.
Thank you very much for the task. I have 2 questions for you. You mentioned about Srila Prabhupada being in that small group, not having the external support, but he had the regular internal support. So my question is, even there are most of the times I undergo situations where there may not be external support. And sometimes I feel discouraged because of the lack of faith, which I'm talking about the internal support. So how do I want to cultivate that internal faith despite of the external situations discouraging me. So how do I focus on that?
Wonderful question for all of us. Well, first of all, association is essential. Very, very important. And despite the disadvantages of many ways of modern technology, there's a lot of advantages. I mean, we can be anywhere and we can hear a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. We can be anywhere and we can connect with some group of devotees who are chanting japa together, having class together. We can be anywhere, we can read, we can listen to lectures, so that connection is there. We can be anywhere and we can, even for free these days, for free. You get out your WhatsApp and you can talk to devotees anywhere in the world, and which we should. And as is also explained, we should inquire confidentially and reveal our mind in confidence. So we shouldn't be so foolish as to think I'm the only one that has doubts. I'm the only one. Described right in the Shastra that in the beginning of our spiritual life, although Krishna consciousness is like sugar cane, wonderful example, it tastes sweet. Even though it's like sugar cane, for us, sometimes it's like bitter. It's like bitter. Sometimes we chant our japa, it's bitter. It's like, how am I going to get through this? Sometimes we chant our japa and it's wow, this is wonderful. And some of us, it's wonderful more times than others. And some of us not so. Some of us, wow, chanting japa is really wonderful. But why are you asking me to do service? Some of us like, wow, service is wonderful, but now I have to chant japa. Isn't it? And others is like, I love to manage. Managing is so good. How can I try to do this for Krishna? And others of us is like, well, I'll do my own thing, but don't ask me to oversee devotees. It's too much headaches. Anything but that. So we have our different natures, but it's a process. It's a gradual awakening process. We come from a background where whatever it is, we didn't have any real faith in Krishna, and we're just waking that up. So associating with devotees, and hearing and chanting, and we become purified. It gradually goes deeper. So even when there's some lack of taste or sometimes lack of faith, we should try to cultivate and remember that even if I'm not inspired or feeling particularly connected, still there's benefit. There's one story I remember in my moments of darkness and difficulty. One among many things I do for personal sense. I've got a couple of friends I can call, and they're not fellow GBCs, they're not even fellow Prabhu, one or two is not even fellow Prabhu, but we're friends, we go back 40 years. And he can call me and I can call him and just talk like human beings trying to be Krishna conscious. There's no errors. I can reveal my mind in confidence, and that's a great support for me. But also the particular story I remember in the Anuttama is when Dhruva Maharaj went to avenge the death of his brother, who interestingly was the same brother that caused him so much angst when he was a child. But he goes to avenge the death of his brother, and he's fighting the Yakshas, I believe, and they're using all these mystic powers against him. There's a beautiful painting in the Bhagavatam. There's fireballs falling from the sky, and everything goes dark, and he gets completely bewildered. He doesn't even have the strength to shoot his arrow. He can't even shoot his bow. He's just completely overwhelmed. Dhruva Maharaj, right? Like, who are we compared to Dhruva Maharaj? But somehow he gets, and I forget sometimes, if Brahma talks to him, or his great, anybody remember who speaks to him? Swayambhu Madhav? Okay. Maybe both. But yeah, I think it's Swayambhu. It's one of the Madhavs. They talk, and they just say, basically, he just gets this message: shoot your arrow. Just shoot your arrow. See, you get the sense like he can barely pull it back. So whatever strength he's got, he somehow pulls it and just shoots that one last arrow. That in itself is enough to dissipate all the illusion. So it's like that with us. Just chant another round. Just go to the temple. Sometimes we don't even want to go to the temple. Sometimes even there's difficulties in our relationships. I don't want to go there. I got to see so and so. Oh my gosh, we got a quarrel about this or that. I'm just on this spot. Just go. Just chant Om Narayana. Prabhupada in New York in the earliest days, he would keep a bowl, the story, of gulab jamuns in his room. And sometimes described, his devotees would sometimes come, there's this Prabhupada kind of a gulab jamun. Life's tough, can I have another gulab jamun? But just see his mercy, he kept it right there. So the devotees would come and give him one more sweet bowl. So sometimes we may even think, geez, because spiritual life is ecstatic and sometimes it's very difficult. Life is difficult, Lord Buddha, right? Life is suffering. It's in our teaching too, life can be very difficult. So we need each other. We need the help of the Guru. We need the help of the Chaitya Guru. We need the help of the deities and the Shastra and the Mantra and the Vaishnavas, especially the Vaishnavas. And just, make that one extra little step. I'll be honest, sometimes I feel like that. My mind's disturbed. I think, wow, I don't know if I can do this. I can chant one more round. I can chant one more mantra. I can go to the temple one more day. I don't know about it's like Alcoholics Anonymous. Their whole, and so many different addictions anonymous. Their whole process, a little bit I know about it. One, depend upon a higher power. And two, it's very much day by day. I'm not going to have another drink today. I don't know if I can, people, it's very difficult, these addictions people struggle with. So for them to say, I'm never going to drink the rest of my life is practically impossible. Because at that point they think, forget it, I'm just going to drink now because I'm never going to make it to the rest of my life. That's too much. So they train the people that are, taking shelter, their process. It's a spiritually focused process. Today I'm not going to have a drink. I'm not going to have a drink today. And I've got friends who are on the same thing. So it's a similar way. I don't want to go back into Maya. I'm going to hang out, I'm going to associate, I'm going to take the shelter of similarly minded people, and I'm going to make one more step towards Krishna. And in the background of it, here's one of the beautiful parts of it, in the background, every additional day and step we take, sometimes it's like this, but we start actually gaining that experience. Describe your experience. You can have experienced this. He's not just talking theoretically. For us, a lot of it's just theory. But he experienced it. So every day as we go by, if we start having little experiences, it's like, well, Krishna saved me with this difficulty, maybe he'll save me with this one. And I just saw how in an amazing way he saved somebody with this difficulty, so maybe he can take care of this difficulty, etc. And then for the pure devotee, there's no difficulty. There are. It's not like Prabhupada didn't have heart attacks and Prabhupada didn't experience the cold. But that in itself became additional impetus in his dedication, his service, his devotion to his Guru and to Krishna. That's why it's called transcendental, transcending. There's other things just become transcendent. So is that okay? So just one of those, stay in connection with the Vaishnavas, have some friends you can reveal your mind and confidence, and stay connected somehow or other. And always there's one little thing I can do. There may be so many obstacles, there's always at least one little additional thing that I can do. We should train whoever does this, no matter who's speaking. Stop on time, blow the conch. Okay? I only have two eyes this way, I don't have eyes that way. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.